We are back with you live once again for another Johnny Torch live broadcast here on the only way to spend your Saturday. Here with a Torch News Roundup, we've got Johnny Torch Live number 163 today and the Torch News Roundup number 141. Welcome in, as I said, the only way to spend your Saturday here with us. We've got a lot of news to cover. I've scoured like a regular scouring pad. I've scoured the farthest corners of the internet to bring you, my loyal listeners, only the greatest in pop culture news and info. So settle back for the next hour or so, and we will get to it as it comes. But first off, you know the spiel. All the stuff that everybody says. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers. We're up to 92 now. It's not going to be that difficult to get the last date, is it? So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. See if we can close out the rest of the year with at least 100 subscribers. Check out the link in the description below for The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. That's my baby. And you can see the cover of our 5th issue there on the screen. And we've got the 6th issue out. I am so excited to get the first graphic novel collection in print today. It's gone to the printer. It should be ready in a couple of weeks, and I most definitely will have some for the Granite State Con. I'm going to be there in September. I believe it's the 13th and no, it's the 14th and 15th. Yeah, I don't have it right in front of me, but we will be at the Granite State Con this year, and we are going to be really excited to debut the first ever Bullets Bourbon graphic novel. I've done some preliminary stuff to try to get the first 3 issues banged up into shape so that I can, remaster them and put them out as a magazine-sized graphic novel. But that is not for quite some time. Today, the show is a little bit late if you're listening to it live, where it's about 10 minutes of 7 here on the East Coast, because I spent all afternoon trying to get the pages back from Staples to get the issue 7 ready for coloring. I don't know. It seems like I've gotten various degrees of disappointment with getting my pages done lately. I don't know. I'm really looking for a printer scanner that I can just do all the work here at home, but I don't have a scanner that big that I'll just get those big pages scanned into the computer. So if you have any if you have any suggestions about getting a scanner for me that can scan in like 11 by 17 pages or whatever that size is, that I can do at home. I certainly can't afford the $8,000 ones or the ones that are big enough to fill up your bathroom. Nah, that's not possible. But a small, reasonable-sized one that's reasonably priced, yeah, I'm in the market for it, because going back and forth to Staples to try to get these things up to spec is not fun. But again, we're not here to talk shop. We're going to get onto the news of the day. One more thing, check out the link in the description below for my Twitter page. This week's poll of the week question is not exactly a barn burner. We've only got 3 votes, but it's one of those slice of life questions. One of those questions that just meant to give you a little food for thought. But we have the summer upon us, and what is your favorite melon? Is watermelon still the king of melons? Do you prefer a nice honeydew, or is cantaloupe your thing? So far with the 3 votes, we've got 4 options: watermelon, honeydew, cantaloupe, and none/other. We've got 1 vote for watermelon, 1 vote for honeydew, and 1 vote for none/other. So if you want to break this tie, vote for one of them. No love for cantaloupes. I don't know. Kind of not a huge fan of that, but my mother's always trying to give me cantaloupe because it's supposed to be a very good cancer preventative. So make sure you eat your cantaloupe. Mother knows best. So I try to eat it as much as I can, but I would probably say watermelon's my vote, and honeydew probably a close second. I haven't had a honeydew yet this season. I think I got a honeydew waiting for me in the fridge. Okay, so go to my Twitter page if you are interested, in fact, in voting in this week's poll of the week question. And we got a lot of news to get to, so let us not waste any more time. Let's see. First up, let's see. All right, we're following news of the Ghostbusters 2020 film that is in the works from Jason Reitman, son of Ivan Reitman, as you see both of them here in this picture. This was tweeted out by Jason, I believe. And some are suggesting that this might hint that these are the grandchildren of Egon in Ghostbusters 2020, that this would be Egon's daughter as their mother. And the speculation is mostly on just basically the kid wearing the glasses that kind of evokes Egon's Egon Spengler. The working title for the film, I guess, is Rust City. Looking at that, what do they call it, a clapper? It's interesting because they have these like bogus titles that they, that they publicize the film with when they're going into a town to shoot, and then they'll do something like this where it's like, gee, that kind of lets the cat out of the bag, right? I don't get it. Why would you let anybody know that that's by putting it on Twitter? I don't know. But anyhow, let me know what you think. Let's see. This is actors Carrie Coon, Finn Wolfhard, and McKenna Grace. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Is this Egon's family? Is that how they're going to keep the spirit alive of, unfortunately, the passing of Egon Spengler? I get I get a brain freeze every time when I'm trying to go for names. But Harold Ramis, of course. Harold Ramis, will this keep his legacy live in Ghostbusters? Well, let me know what you think in the comments below. All right. Next up, let's see. There's no accompanying story to this, but I figured I'd share this since it did come out quite recently. But The Flash is beginning its, is it the 6th season now? I don't know. I lost count. It's the 5th or 6th season. Yeah, it's the 6th season because last year was the 5th season. They always kind of fall apart, these shows, on the 4th season, don't they? I think the 4th season's always the worst in every one of the CW shows. I don't know, but this is Danielle Panabaker's new Killer Frost costume, and I like it. I mean, it does evoke the comics a little bit more. We got some blue there instead of the standard black leather jacket type stuff that they're always putting these characters in. I'm not entirely familiar with Killer Frost's costume from the comics. I know she has that emblem on the front. It's like a snowflake. She usually has like the bathing suit style costume, which I'm sure they're not going to give her for the show. But yeah, it's a little more colorful. I think it's pretty cool to use a pun mercilessly. Let me know what you think in the comments below about the new Killer Frost costume, Danielle Panabaker's new Killer Frost costume for The Flash season 6, I believe, right? Season 6. Alrighty then. Next up, let's take a look at an article here about The Mandalorian. Yes, The Mandalorian actually looks pretty cool. The little bits I've seen of it, I imagine we're going to get some more of it during San Diego Comic-Con, which that always provides us with a lot of news. That usually gives us a good, I don't know, 2 weeks worth of material. Or at least I'll do 2 shows in the week because there's like so much stuff to talk about. Lately, more and more studios haven't been going to San Diego Comic-Con. I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers isn't doing anything. And I don't think Marvel is going to be announcing anything either, although they might have something there. But anyway, The Mandalorian, let's see. Jon Favreau, talking to Collider, gave an interview where he talked about how he got the gig for The Mandalorian and how he is already working on season 2 before this show has even come out. Favreau said, "I keep getting pulled deeper and deeper into the orbit of Disney, but fortunately," by the way, that's right, he's just directed the Lion King remake, and he did the Jungle Book, and I believe he's either still working on Jungle Book 2 or maybe that's completed now. I'm not sure, but he's been doing a ton of Disney projects lately, and this, of course, is under the Disney head. That's another thing we didn't talk. We're not going to talk this week about the Mulan trailer, but we talked a lot about that last week. I don't really know that I need to go on anymore about that. But the Mulan trailer came out. That's right, and again, there's some controversy about it, seeing as how they're playing it very straight, and even as straight as they're playing it, it seems like China still has a bee in their bonnet when it comes to Americans making films with, I don't know, Chinese background. Anyway, I'm not really going to go into that this week, but I thought it was worth mentioning. All right, back to the article. Favreau says, I keep getting pulled deeper and deeper into the orbit of Disney, but fortunately, the stuff that Disney's working on is the stuff that I love. I wanted to do a Star Wars TV show like The Mandalorian and pitched it to them, and they were very open to it. I even wrote 4 episodes before I was even hired to do it because I was excited as a fan to see what these stories might be and see if they were interested in doing what I was interested in, which they were. And I was actually writing season 2 this morning before I came here. Favreau also says that he's begun to utilize the VR technology that'll be used to render the show's visual effects in real time. So while he's still working on the story, pre-production has already begun in order to integrate the actors into the digital environments once shooting does eventually commence. So let's see. The Mandalorian is set to premiere on Disney Plus November 19th. So it looks like this is going to be a hit, or at least, I'm happy that Favreau is spearheading something. I mean, it could have been something to do with Marvel, which I guess we still got Kevin Feige as the figurehead there, although I'm not entirely thrilled with the recent Marvel outings, to be totally honest with you. But if we can get Favreau in charge of a Star Wars division, I think he is a prime candidate for something like that. He's got a very good nose for what the fans like. He's a fan himself, and you want to get someone who's that invested in something, that in the franchise. You want someone that's already a fan, someone that's deeply invested and wants to bring the best out of it. And I think this is exactly what Star Wars needs at this time, when we're unfortunately facing an uncertain future. I mean, The Mandalorian is the only thing really worth getting excited about in Star Wars at this time. I mean, what else is there really? Episode 9 coming out, which, I'm not going to come out and say I'm boycotting it, but I have very little expectations for it. And then we have pretty much a freeze on the movies for at least 3 years, and then they're going to do apparently a trilogy. No word yet on exactly what that'll be, although some are suggesting it might be the Game of Thrones guys doing it. Ryan Johnson's head. Ryan Johnson's head. What a faux pas there, but Ryan Johnson's head is still in the mix. Ryan Johnson's round head is still in the mix for a possible trilogy. Maybe he'll get it. I don't know. I doubt it. But do you want to see Ryan Johnson's round head in the mix for a Star Wars trilogy in a couple of years? Let me know in the in the comments below. And are you looking forward to The Mandalorian? I actually am. And I might actually get the Disney Plus just for, well, not just for The Mandalorian, but for some of the other stuff they got that's from the MCU. I mean, we got the Vision Scarlet Witch series, miniseries. We've got the Bucky and Cap. Well, Bucky and Falcon. I don't know if they're still calling it Falcon now that he's going to be Captain America. But there's some shows worth probably a couple of bucks if to order it for a couple of months anyway. I still haven't gotten the DC one, the DC programming there, because I'm not really crazy about what I've heard about it so far. The only thing they really have going for it is they've got Doom Patrol, and they got Titans, which neither of which seems to be particularly right up my alley. So I'm going to hold off on that, but I probably will check this out when Disney Plus launches. Are you going to check out the Disney Plus offerings, The Mandalorian and so forth? Let me know in the comments below. Let's see. I'm jumping around here in my notes. Let's go to something a little bit. Let's build up to, we don't want to go straight to the Brie Larson stuff. We're gonna make you wait for it. You know what I mean? That's, we're gonna make you wait. But that's what a good host would do anyway. All right, so let's take a look at some Arrow news. Now, this was promising. I was really excited to hear this. We've got the possibility of seeing Tommy Merlin return to Arrow for the final season, and Josh Segura's Adrian Chase. Of course, Colin Donnell. I suggested this when we were talking, I don't know what it was, a couple weeks ago, that now that uh, Colin Donnell is off of Chicago Med, I think he left the show. I'm not sure if he was killed off or was canceled or whatever, but his time is freed up, so he can be available for a full season. Uh, eight episodes. I think, is it 8 episodes or 10 episodes? I forget. It's a very abbreviated season. It's less than a dozen episodes, so he probably can show up for every episode. But at this point, I don't know how you work him in. Of course, we have Crisis on Infinite Earths coming up, so this obviously isn't going to be the same Tommy. It probably is going to be a different Earth's Tommy. As I said, I would welcome seeing him as the Green Arrow of another Earth. That might be a nice way to sort of tribute Tommy, as on his Earth he would have became Green Arrow. I think they did that on Crisis on Earth X, right? But it was sort of I don't know, was he sort of a now, he wasn't a Nazi, right? He was a good guy, right? He was the good Green Arrow on that planet. Everybody else was a Nazi, I think, if I remember correctly. Let's see. According to Beth Schwartz, let's see. Adrian Chase, aka Prometheus, comes back in a different way than expected. Again, that's probably meaning, because I think he's dead, right? He blew himself up. He's probably coming back from another dimension as well, a different Earth. And likewise, uh, Colin Donnell's Tommy is not coming back as the Tommy we know. So again, this is pretty much to be expected. And like I said, I really, if you watch that video, which I knew I was forgetting something, but I listed all the top 9 shows and I ranked them. I forgot Gotham. Oh gosh, is that embarrassing? But I don't know. Gotham is Gotham. You know what I mean? It's kind of middle of the pack viewing. I probably would have put it somewhere in the middle, I guess, probably in the 5th or 6th spot, and then push the other stuff down. But Arrow was great this year. I really liked it. It started kind of slow because, like I said, I didn't really like the prison stuff. If you've ever heard me rant about superhero television, I believe in Ferrigno's Law, which is you have the superhero in costume, or in the case of the Hulk, in the flesh, at least twice an episode. You can have very rare exceptions to that, but if you're going to do episode after episode of the superhero character out of costume, you are breaking Ferrigno's Law. They always, and that's kind of like when superhero television was taken seriously with the Incredible Hulk. And Lou Ferrigno had to make at least 2 appearances. Sometimes he made a brief third, but they very rarely ever just gave him 1 appearance. It was usually, I think there was, like, maybe if it was a 2-parter, you might only get 1 Ferrigno appearance in like the first part or something. But that's kind of the standard. You tune into these shows to see the heroes doing something. And I think the CW shows have lost track of that a little bit over time. Even on The Flash now, we can have episode after episode of Barry out of costume. And I think that's something you want to stay away from. Nothing should be set in stone, really. But, I mean, as a novelty, you could do the story arc of, Oliver in prison or what have you, and have it go 3 or 4 episodes. But it's not really a novelty on the CW. They have actually had full episodes, many full episodes of not having the characters in costume. And, I can understand in a long shoot they don't want to really, give a heavy work order to the stars. But, you really got to be in those costumes. All right, so we're not through with the Arrow news, which, like I said, that's exciting news. Let me know what you think in the comments below about, are you excited for seeing Tommy return and Prometheus? We're all excited to see Mia return. Let me see. Yes. Catherine McNamara has been promoted to a series regular for the upcoming final season of Arrow. Arrow is currently scheduled to premiere October 15th, 2019. So this is not entirely unexpected. I think they kind of want to spin her off into her own show, I guess. I don't know exactly how. I don't think Arrow is going to continue with her, but in some capacity, she's going to carry the mantle, I imagine. Um, it's just difficult the way they did it because they had her so far off in the future, which is understandable because if she's the daughter of Green Arrow, then she's going to have to grow up, to take the mantle. But we're going to have, a pretty, you know, it's going to be uncharted waters, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's kind of difficult to just set a show in that future world. And there's so many questions to answer. Now what are we going to do with the Black Canaries and Renee is a mayor or something? I don't know. I mean, it's like, do you really want to keep putting those characters back in that old age makeup and trying to flesh out that world? Or you're just going to keep having her be some kind of vigilante? I don't know. I think it's better if they transport her to the past. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Apparently, from what we know, the Monitor is going to abscond with Oliver and Felicity at some point. Felicity, again, in the future. So it does kind of open things up that I guess they will need an Archer that's going to take up the slack. And yeah, I think that could work. I think that could work. And let's hope it happens. Let's hope it's good more than anything else. All right, let me know what you think. What do you think about the future of Arrow? What do you think about Mia as the potential Arrow replacement? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, we'll switch gears a little bit here. I've been saying I was going to talk about this for a while, and I really haven't because I haven't dug very deeply into what they're doing with Star Trek Picard. But the first promo poster, I guess you would call this, was released of Jean-Luc and his dog Bupkis. No, that's not his name. I don't know what his name is, but um, I don't know. Let me see if I can find the notes. Does it say here what the dog's name is? I don't have it on these notes. Maybe somebody knows. If you know the name of the dog, let me know by all means in the comments below. But I guess this is, like I said, I really don't know a whole lot about what the series is going to be about behind the scenes, but apparently Jean-Luc has retired to his vineyard on Earth, I suppose, here, and he's living the solitary life with his pet pooch, and I guess he's living alone, which is kind of sad because they never really gave him, at least, I mean, I was never a diehard Next Gen fan. I was more a classic Trek fan. But I don't think they really gave him a love interest that he was going to wind up with. I mean, I always thought that the chemistry was right between him and Crusher, Beverly. But I don't think they ever acted on that. So it's kind of sad, especially because, like, in Generations, which is a film that gets a lot of guff, I think it really gets the guff because it was a lame way to kill off Captain Kirk. But I thought that was like a pretty good movie. That was a pretty good Jean-Luc movie where you kind of see where he wanted that family life that he never had and probably never will get. So it's kind of sad to see him now in his, golden years, and he is pretty much alone. But, the television show can't just be built around that. I imagine they're going to call him back to Starfleet or something. There's going to be some kind of adventure on this because I don't see him sort of coming in as like an earthbound, desk-bound consultant. You know what I mean? That's kind of what they tried to stick Captain Kirk with Admiral Kirk in Star Trek, and that was pretty much Kirk's advice to him was, don't give it up, don't give up the ship. You know what I mean? Don't give up command, as long as you possibly can. So let's see here. Details on the highly anticipated series are being kept under wraps, but we do know Sir Patrick Stewart will be joined by stars Alison Pill, Michelle Hurd, Evan Evagora, Issa Brenoz, Santiago Cabrera. You see, I recognize Santiago Cabrera. He was from the Musketeers, right? He was, which one was he? Aramis? Yeah, I think that was him, right? He was the priest one that, was fooling around with the queen. kind of kind of a kind of a strange behavior for a priest, and Harry Treadaway. So apart from Santiago, I don't know any of these actors, but apart from Patrick Stewart, of course. But I'm not sure. I imagine I've seen Jonathan Frakes' name being bandied about, where I'm pretty sure he's going to be in this, in some capacity. He's going to be recurring, I think, as number one. Well, he's captain now. He's not number one anymore. But and there's been talk that maybe we'll finally get some. This is what I'm interested in the show for: getting some closure about what happened with B4. I mean, this is why this show is needed, because they kind of left it, in a bad place. Next Generation, after um, I can't remember the name of it now. Shinzon one. Yeah, that wasn't really the great way to end the whole franchise. You know what I mean? But as I said on Twitter, I think, you know, no matter what is happens with this series, no matter what fans say about it, expect a deluge of Picard facepalm gifts once the show comes out, because you really can't recapture these kind of shows. For some reason you can't anyway. I don't know why. I think for the most part they recaptured Star Trek with the original movies, when they brought back for the motion picture and the Wrath of Khan. I mean, motion picture was outright bad in my opinion, and Star Trek 5 was nothing to write home about. But for the most part, 2, 3, 4, and 6, those were great movies, and they got it right more than they got it wrong. And I kind of hope that's what we're going to do here. We're going to at least try to, let's try to put it to bed, the best way possible. While the actors are all still alive and hopefully enthusiastic about returning. I don't really know how many of the old cast are enthusiastic to return, but let's get as many of them back as possible to play some kind of role in this show, and hopefully send it out into that good night properly. Like I said, not the hugest fan of Next Gen, but I did like it. I like the characters. I think the stories kind of bored me, to be totally honest with you. They kind of came in at that point where it was more, about the story than it was about the characters. That's what I mean about sort of if it was done in this day and age where you sort of pander to shippers, it would have been about Picard and Crusher and stuff like that. That was like that, all that stuff was kind of on the fringe. They really didn't delve into the characters as much as in a lot of cases it was just trying to tell the story and continue the narrative of what Starfleet was up to and stuff. But yeah, I like Picard, I like Data, I like Riker, I like most of those characters. So again, I probably am not getting this CBS All Access, but I, at some point would like to see what's going on with it. All right, so let me know what you think in the comments below about Star Trek Picard, and we will get on to our next story. We've got some news about the Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad 2, aka the Suicide Squad. We've got a new cast member in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, 16-year-old Wrinkle in Time star Storm Reed. The Hollywood Reporter broke the news but didn't provide any details on who she signed on to play. They do, however, mention that she'll be portraying the daughter of Idris Elba's character. Unfortunately, we have no idea who that character is. I believe they're coming out and saying it's not going to be a recast Deadshot. They're kind of, they want to respect Will Smith. That's his character, and that someday he might want to come back for it, to it, which I think is good. But yeah, again, this kind of just leaves it up in the air, not knowing exactly who he's playing. Some have speculated he might be Sportsmaster, which would be probably kind of cool. Again, another race-changed character, but that's par for the course here in this day and age. Plot details remain under wraps, but we might get a better idea of what to expect soon, as production is expected to commence in September. So, again, let me know what you think about James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, aka Suicide Squad 2, in the comments below. And let's see. Alrighty, so all right, let's get to some of these meat and potatoes stories here. The meat and potatoes. That was sort of the appetizer. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. Now, The Invisible Man has found their new actor, the slightly less than invisible actor here. Let's see. what's his name? Oh man, I hate when I do this. I end up losing. I end up losing the note because I end up. Let's see. Jackson Cohen. I don't think that's his full name. He's got a first name. I'm pretty sure. You talk amongst yourselves while I'm looking up his name. Let's see. Alrighty. Oliver Jackson Cohen. I don't know how I cut off his first name, but sometimes when you cut and paste these things, that's what happens. All right, so Oliver, darling, Oliver. That was my what was that? Zsa Zsa Gabor. Oh, that was Ava, right? Ava that was in Green Acres. Yeah, that's my Ava Gabor. Okay, yeah, there it is, right there. No, I had it in my notes. Why couldn't I find it before? All right, Oliver Jackson Cohen is taking the place of Johnny Depp, whose services are no longer required for Universal's Invisible Man remake. Now, can I just talk for a moment, or should I say I'm going to start a rant here about Johnny Depp? Now, Johnny Depp is losing his Francois. How do you say plural of franchises? I'm not sure, but he's losing them left and right here. He was promised a Invisible Man film back when Universal was doing the shared dark universe, which apparently, at least according to this article, is no more. According to Universal, they plan to take an individualized approach to its classic monster movies. So they're not planning on getting them all together. They've tried several times now. They tried with Dracula Untold, which was supposed to spur the beginning of the shared universe of the Universal monster movies. And that didn't go over too well. Then they, sort of like DC with Green Lantern, they just decided to nip it in the bud. And they started over with The Mummy with Tom Cruise, which also wasn't received very well. But unlike the DCEU, they didn't decide to just, soldier on. They are just doing these movies now individually. The problem is, if you ask me, before we get into the story here, but let me rant on another subject here. The problem is they're trying to remake the wheel when it comes to Universal horror. Why did the Universal horror movies do so well? Why did people take to them? Because they were fun. They didn't make it, well, it's in the 40s. I mean, you got to remember, these movies were like, they were glorified B pictures. And, they're trying to remake the wheel with a lot of these things where they're trying to make them like, on the one hand, it's like the Wolfman, they made it very gory, and they're trying to like sophisticate it up a little bit, and then they're trying to do like the Mummy as an action picture with a female mummy. It's like, let's just stick to the core concepts of the stories. You know what I mean? Let's just make it about the torment of a guy that's got his got the curse upon him that he can't control when he turns into a monster. It really shouldn't be that difficult. I mean, I don't know. It seems like they're trying a little too hard, like Dracula. It's basically about a villain. You don't really need to get into the psyche of Dracula. That's not Dracula. Dracula is basically just a villain. So it's like, I think they would do better if they would actually just try to make them fun and just like, let's have Dracula be a bad guy and just want to bite a pretty girl's neck. Let's have the Wolfman be a guy that's tortured over the fact that he can't stop from changing into a monster. They're very simple stories that you can tell with these, and they kind of like overthink them. All right, let's get back to the first rant, which is Johnny Depp is losing his franchises left and right. He has been ceremoniously booted, they say, of Pirates of the Caribbean because now they want to remake it with a female cast or a female lead, allegedly. The further SJW feministation of, popular male led movies. And also, I don't know that they're fighting for him to stay in the Grunwald series, the J.K. Rowling movies, which they've tried to ostracize him there too, and J.K. Rowling has come to his defense. And now, of course, he's lost the Invisible Man. And it's all basically due to the domestic abuse allegations, which, again, I'm not really going to go into that. But I don't feel this is fair treatment for Depp, any more than it is for Amber Heard, because it's very much a he said she said thing. She was claiming domestic abuse. He claimed domestic abuse from her, and I really don't want to see either of them lose work over, like I said, some kind of a he said she said squabble. Not to minimize, the importance of recognizing domestic abuse as a serious thing, but you know, this is something that's left for them to handle. This is not something that Hollywood should be stepping in and saying. I mean, obviously, the severity of the charge has a weighing effect. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to call O.J. Simpson for a starring role anytime soon. But in a case like this, I don't think Johnny Depp should be punished for these allegations that may or may not be true. There's a lot of people saying that it's all Amber Heard's fault. I don't really want to see her leave the Aquaman franchise either, because I think she's fantastic in that. And it's the same thing that Johnny Depp's a fantastic actor, and he's suited to a film like The Invisible Man. I don't really think that he should be chased off of it, or Pirates of the Caribbean. Although you could probably say that the Pirates films have kind of run their course. I don't really know what they could do else with that franchise. Although, to be honest with you, like I said, I've never been a huge fan of those films, but the first one was very good, and I think the last two were decent. I mean, they weren't great films by any means, but I thought they were pretty good. So I mean, a Pirates, what would it be? A Pirates 6, with a Johnny Depp lead. I would probably see it. I would see it. But again, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think that this is sort of Hollywood's way of canceling Johnny Depp? Is he persona non grata at Hollywood? Is his services no longer welcomed, and he's been given his notice to pretty much vacate the office, take your belongings, and go home? And is that fair? I don't know. Is it fair on this kind of issue, which is very much, like I said, it's not nothing that we have definite proof of one way or the other. All right, well, talking about Mr. Oliver Jackson Cohen, he has gotten the lead in Universal's new Invisible Man reboot, or I don't know how you would want to describe it, directed by Lee Whannell, or Whannell, I don't know. Let's see. This take on the classic tale will revolve around Adrian Griffin, a billionaire sociopath who made his money by developing an invisibility suit for the Department of Defense. This suggests a significant change to the source material, as the character actually turns himself invisible in the H.G. Wells novel. See, this is kind of what I was talking about. They're not sticking to the they're not sticking to the meat and potatoes of the original story. Now it's a suit. Now it's like taking place in present day, and it's the guy's a billionaire sociopath. I don't know. It just feels like it has nothing to do with the original concept. And why try to, because they're trying to sell this as the modern day telling of the classic Universal story. You could do it modern day, but this doesn't sound anything like the original story, the original movie by the great James Whale, starring the even greater Claude Rains. But I don't know. What do you think? Is this interesting to you? I don't know. Let's see. Jackson Cohen joins previously announced cast members Elizabeth Moss, Eldis Hodge, Harriet Dyer, and Storm Reed. There's that Storm Reed again. Wow. She's getting around. The Invisible Man is set to commence production this month in Sydney, Australia. Australia. All right, so let me know what you think in the comments below. You interested or in the least bit excited about the Invisible Man remake that they are touting here? I don't know. I think it's gonna suffer the same fate as the Mummy, to be totally honest with you. All right, next up, the Joker. Yeah, yeah, I made that. Yeah, I made that for this broadcast. I kind of feel like that's what he's saying in this picture. At least that's the way I feel about the Joker as an origin movie. I don't know. I don't know why everybody is so determined to make a Joker origin. I didn't feel it worked in Batman 89, and they didn't give us one in The Dark Knight, but when they kind of tried to hint at the fact that he was like some kind of raging anarchist that, I don't think the Joker thinks these things through that much. I mean, it still worked in The Dark Knight, but again, you don't want to attribute any grand thought, in the Joker. He's an agent of chaos. He has a purpose for what he does, but he's not really there to, he's not there to conquer the world. He's not there to, he's sort of there to prove a point, which is basically what they did with him in Dark Knight. Anyhow, before I get off the beaten path here, let's take a look at the copy. Let's see. In an interview with Empire Magazine, Phillips said that the director, again, I'm not going to go crazy trying to find his first name because I don't, for some reason, they don't have the first names in these articles. I guess because I don't copy the title. Phillips said that the Joker starring Joaquin Phoenix is doing its own version of the famed DC villain, and that it's not even about the Joker, but the man behind the face paint. We didn't follow anything from the comic books, which people are going to be mad about. So then why did you do it? If you're going to make fans mad, why do it? That's kind of my question to you, Todd Phillips. And I remembered his name now, Todd Phillips. Why do you want to aggravate the fans? I don't know what the point is. I get, it's like sort of like I want to make a movie and I want to have interest in it, and instead of like just aping, Scorsese, let's ape Scorsese, but put like a brand name in it so that we'll draw some fans and some buzz and this and that. Because otherwise, they would have just been doing another version of a Scorsese film, another Taxi Driver, another King of Comedy. But they get in, their foot in the door with, oh, it's a Joker movie, So it's like, everybody knows the fans, like I said, don't want to see the Joker's origin really, but if you're going to do a Joker origin that's not going to have anything to do with Batman, again, there was some, I didn't really cover this, but there was some spoiler reports about this film. And I'll give you like a spoiler warning. Just tune back in about 30 seconds. But apparently, the let's say the controversial aspect of this film is that the Joker may or may not be related to Batman. Again, this is something they do all the time, and it's possible that the Joker was the love child of Thomas Wayne, and that he's somehow a brother of Batman, which would be strange because there is at least a, let's say, a 30-year age difference between Joker and Batman in this movie. So I don't know. Spoiler over, but All right, continuing on what Philip said. We just wrote our own version of where a guy like Joker might come from. That's what was interesting to me. We're not even doing Joker, but the story of becoming Joker. It's about this man. Uh, let's see. In the film, Phoenix plays Arthur Fleck, a disturbed comedian who slowly evolves into the ruthless terrorist known as the Joker. Joker is set for release on October 4th. Ruthless terrorist. That's what I mean. See, I've said this all the time. I don't like this like new direction that they're taking the Joker in, where he's like a terrorist all the time now. He's sort of seen as this kind of certain villain. You know what I mean? He was supposed to be just like this crazy guy that wants to make people laugh, and more importantly, make himself laugh by doing the most insanely criminal things. You know what I mean? I don't really see, you know. By the way, I don't know if you can hear it. I'm being distracted by the ice cream man outside. They're playing some. They're playing that song from The Sting, and they drive by every day and they play that song. And I keep hearing it over and over again every day. But yeah, that kind of distracted me. But again, I've said it my spiel before about it. But I mean, the Joker is the guy that wants to make murder funny. He wants to blow you up with an exploding whoopee cushion. He wants to fry you with an electric joy buzzer. He wants to squirt, acid flour. So, I mean, just having him be like this terrorist or this guy that kills with knives, that's not my Joker. I wish we could get back to the original concept of the Joker, where he kills, but he does it in a funny way. He does it to amuse himself, and that's kind of like he was kind of close to like the Riddler in that regard, where the Riddler he leaves Rills at the scene of the crime basically just to amuse himself and to pat himself on the back for being able to outwit people. In the same way, I think the Joker he kills people in a way that is funny to him and is amusing to him, and he wants to get the last laugh. I mean, he wants to get the laugh on somebody. He wants to kind of sucker you in, and then when he kills you in a way that you weren't expecting, he gets the laugh, he gets the satisfaction of doing that. That's something we've lost in the Joker, in live action anyway. I don't think we've gotten that since probably Nicholson's Joker. I'm not sure, but again, let me know what you think. Do you want to know the Joker's origin? Is this the origin you always expected from the Joker, what we've seen here so far with the Joaquin Phoenix version? Let me know in the comments below, and we will soldier on here. All right, let's see. All right, now we'll get to it. We'll get to this is what everybody's been waiting for. I honestly, I don't know. I honestly could care less about Brie Larson, but everybody wants to hear about Brie Larson. Everybody loves Brie Larson, or everybody hates Brie Larson. I'm not sure. I am ambivalent about Brie Larson. I really could care less. That's why I could do such bang up business on YouTube if I did a Brie Larson video every single week. And I've really got no opinion on her. I mean, she's of moderate talent, moderately good looking. She runs her mouth with SJW politics, which is, more or less par for the course. I mean, tell me one actor or actress that's prominent in Hollywood today that doesn't do that. And, but yeah, people love talking about her. So I'll give my fans a little bit of what everybody else wants, apparently, which is a Brie Larson topic. Brie Larson wants to be a Jedi Knight. No! I don't know why everybody makes fun of that scene, that nose scene. I never found it funny, but I find it funny here because I think Darth Vader would have that same opinion. All right, so let's take a look here at, let's see, the copy. Why do I keep losing my notes here? Oh, there it is. All right, Brie Larson wants to be a Jedi in an upcoming Star Wars film. In a new post from the Oscar-winning actress on Instagram, she's shown that she's ready, willing, and able to head a galaxy far, far away in a future Star Wars movie. Given her pre-existing relationship with Disney as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's probably a good chance this could happen somewhere down the line. It was during an interview with Samuel L. Jackson that Larson first expressed her interest in joining the long-running franchise. She didn't appear at all phased. I should say phased. Again, garbage tier. She didn't appear at all phased by the pressures that would come with it. I got to hold his lightsaber. He brought it to me on set on May the 4th, and I cried. It was so cool. I want to be a Jedi. So I think the fear people have is that, Captain Marvel, Rey, Disney has shown that they don't know how to do a female character without making them a Mary Sue. I mean, Rey is the ultimate Mary Sue, Captain Marvel, the ultimate Mary Sue, and now we're going to like merge them into, Captain Larson, the the greatest Jedi Master of them all. And I'm sure she would, be the ultimate expression of the Force. I don't know. Would you want to see Brie Larson cast as a Jedi Master in an upcoming Star Wars film? Like I said, I'm ambivalent. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't desire to see Brie Larson in Star Wars. I don't know what good would come of it. It would set a lot of YouTube users ablaze with more uh, more videos and stuff. Maybe it would give me a few more videos. I don't know. But yeah, but I don't have a whole lot to say about this. There you have it. And let me know if you want it. The Brie Larson Star Wars movie extravaganza where she will run the entire galaxy as a Jedi Master. I don't know. I think Star Wars is suffering enough. Thank you. I don't think Brie really needs to add her considerable insights into Star Wars. All right, and last but not least, this is the big story of the week, at least for me anyway. This story broke a couple of days ago, and again, we got we got Grace Randolph to thank for this one, I guess. Well, the story originally came from We Got This Covered. I want to make sure that everybody gets their due. Grace Randolph later expounded on it with her quote unquote sources, telling her the ins and outs of what the real story was. We Got This Covered originally reported quote unquote Black Mask. This, of course, is in the Birds of Prey movie. Black Mask, a little background here, but Black Mask is going to be played by Ewan McGregor. He is said to be the main villain of the Birds of Prey film, starring, of course, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. And so We Got This Covered broke this story. They said, quote, Black Mask, the movie's main antagonist, will reportedly be portrayed as homosexual. Though his sexuality is never explicitly stated, multiple sources have told We Got This Covered that the sexual tension between him and fellow villain Victor Zsasz will be palpable, and the way he acts in general makes it pretty clear that he's gay. Now, all right, let's stop. Let's unpack that first before we go any further. The original story here is that he's not going to be flamboyantly gay or, particularly noticeably gay. He is just going to have some quote unquote palpable chemistry with Victor Zsasz. Which again, this is the problem. We can go back to last week's video when I just went nuts on SJWs, but it's like, why are we changing Black Mask and potentially Victor Zsasz to gay? You know what I mean? This is where, again, you can't just create a gay character. You have to take an existing character. Now, I'm not an authority on Black Mask, but he's a pretty masculine character to begin with. I mean, his background in the comics is to be one of he's very heterosexual. He's straight. And to just take this concept out of nowhere where he's gay, and it's just SJW tactics. They're just trying to placate. We're going to put a gay character in. We're going to make him a prominent character, and we're going to make Black Mask be gay. Of course, Ewan McGregor playing Black Mask. Again, it's unnecessary. Create a gay character, or just leave this character alone. Now, to be honest, Birds of Prey already has Renee Montoya in the cast. So if you're looking for representation, you already have a gay actor, or I mean a gay character in the movie. I forget who's playing her. Playing Montoya. I don't think it says it in my notes, but anyway, we do have the character, and the character is very famously gay. So she's a lesbian. So it's not like this movie is suffering for representation. All right, so now continuing on now, this is where Grace Randolph chimed in, and she got a little bit of flack for this because she's basically telling her sources, from her sources spoilers for the movie. So again, I'll respect if you want to turn off now. This is our last segment, so you pretty much can just turn off the rest of the episode if this is important to you, not to be spoiled. Now, I don't think Grace really has any fault in this here. She's a polarizing figure. A lot of people don't like her. I don't agree with her most of the time, but I don't dislike her. I still watch her on occasion. I mean, she's sort of like the female John Campea, which they've had their feuds before as well, Campea and Randolph. But she's sort of like Campea, an acquired taste. If you don't like him, you probably hate him and her. And if you like them, then they can do no wrong. But I come down sort of somewhere in the middle where they're entertaining, but they're very politically correct. And Grace especially is very politically correct in her assessment of things. Although it's usually racially, or when it comes to gay characters, like she's famously for Captain America and Bucky as a ship. I really never understood that one. And I I think she's sort of against the blatant feminism, though. I always hear her talk about that in a negative light, where they try to, the way Hollywood does these Mary Sue characters. She seems to be fairly outspoken for a feminist or an SJW against that practice. So, again, it's not a one size fits all characterization for these folks. They come at opinions from different directions. So I can't just whitewash, Grace as just being purely SJW or whatever. Now, I'm thinking she's coming from a very politically correct place when she is criticizing these choices, but I think she's doing it for the right reasons. She's saying basically to get this all out in the open, which I still haven't described it yet, but to get this all out in the open and see what the reaction will be so that Warner Brothers can either change while they still have time this controversial storyline that they're come up with, or at least get the public used to it. Because if the public just comes out to see this film and sees this as the storyline for Black Mask, they could be turned off by it. All right, so let me describe, at least this is the transcript, so to speak, of what she revealed. Supposedly, the theme of the Black Mask's villainy will tie hand in hand with his gayness, because Cassandra Cain will swallow a diamond that belongs to the Black Mask, and he spends the movie hunting her down to cut it out of her. However, it turns out that the diamond isn't what's important, it's what's contained within the diamond that's important. Apparently, it contains nude photos of him, and he didn't want that out there. So basically, that's the storyline for the Black Mask in Birds of Prey, and Grace, you know, revealed this. And like I said, Grace is kind of like clickbaity in that she always wants to get the scoop. She's a regular Lois Lane. She does spoiler reviews like 2 weeks before the movie comes out, and I've criticized her on that before. She does what will be in the sequel like the day the movie comes out. So it's like I don't really want to be thinking about that when I haven't seen the movie yet. I mean, it's like she's very clickbaity and wants to be first. She's like that kid that always wants to be first, to spill the beans or whatever, to get the scoop, like Lois Lane. So obviously she didn't have any compunction to reveal this. Now I think it's, like I said, for the right reasons. Although she thinks more along the lines of, well, maybe Ewan McGregor is going to catch flack for this by playing a gay character while he's not gay, because obviously in Hollywood now you can't play a gay character unless you're gay. But I think, like I said, the more important thing is to get people's minds wrapped around how bizarre this storyline sounds. Now, we've got like a little 11-year-old Cassandra Cain will have swallowed a diamond. Who the heck swallows a diamond? I mean, did she do this willingly? Or did somebody stuff this diamond down her throat? It's a very strange thing. And this diamond is not a regular diamond. It's some kind of memory card, I guess. I don't get it. I don't know why. That has all Black Mask's nudies of himself. I don't know. It sounds bizarre. It sounds awful, quite frankly. And I think if I wasn't going to see this film already, which I probably wasn't, I definitely won't now. This sounds more like when it comes on television or something, maybe I'd watch it on cable. But this really doesn't sound good at all. And like I said, I didn't like what I was hearing from this film. And I think, like I said, this is probably the best way to get the story out there, that maybe Warner Brothers will take note of the flack. And if this is indeed what's going on in the film, they could change it. They can alter it. Or if they refuse to change it and alter it, then this will make up fans' minds before the film actually comes out. You're either going to be okay with this or you're not. And like I said, it sounds bizarre to say the least. It sounds awful. So again, kudos to Grace for backing up. We got it covered, this story, and apparently she has a couple sources that are saying that not only is this true, but this is what is in store for the character and the storyline for him through the movie. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you interested in Birds of Prey, but are you interested in this characterization of Black Mask? Do you think that this is something that the film Birds of Prey should change, shy away from, stop? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And yeah, that's just about going to do it. Okay, wait a second here. We got someone in the chat, or we had somebody in the chat. It says Pangrio Di Mato. He says, "What are you talking about?" And then he pauses. Then he says, 5 months later. Then he says, 1 year later. Then he says, "I'll let go. Goodbye, my friend." I'm sorry I didn't look at the chat enough, and I missed your comments. What I'm talking about is, I regularly post it in the, you know, the description. So that's what it is. I usually check the chat like 3 or 4 times in a video, but seeing as how I don't get very many chatters, you can't blame me for not referring back to it too much, because I've got the notes and everything in the way, and sometimes I just don't see it. So again, apologies. I think you kind of you're kind of angry, it sounds, but again, apologies. I try to interact with the chat, and like I said, if you leave something in the comments or you leave a question or a comment in the chat, I always answer it. If not on this video, on the next. So, uh, Pangrady, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize again. Leave a comment in the chat or in the comments, and I'll respond. I'll answer on next week's show, whatever you want to talk about. Again, it just happens that way sometimes. All right, so before we head out here, I want to remind you guys, check out the Spider-Man Far From Home video that I did reviewing the most recent MCU movie, Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm not going to spoil it or anything, but it was okay. It was so-so. It was fine. Uh, still not my Spider-Man. Let's just put it that way. Not my Spider-Man. But you definitely want to check that out, especially after you've seen the movie, because it's a spoiler review. Like I said, I'm not sure when is San Diego Comic-Con. That'll undoubtedly give us a lot to talk about. So we'll do some more shows, possibly more than one next week once the San Diego Comic-Con comes out. If there's enough news, we usually get at least 2 videos out of it. So, not sure when that'll be, but we possibly will be doubling up our efforts. I don't know what I'm going to do when Hangouts on the Air goes away, because, like I said, I don't really know. I mean, I haven't been able to get the right software because I'm so busy working on the book that I don't really have the right software to keep making videos the proper way. And I keep looking up different places to get, software, preferably for free, but I haven't been able to find them yet. Maybe I'll just do, the eve of August 1st, maybe July 31st. Why don't we just do an 8-hour stream? So if I can't broadcast anymore, we'll have done 2 months worth of shows. I don't know. But anyway, make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, share the video, and please leave a comment in the comments below. I always answer the comments. And God love you for watching. God love you for listening. And until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.